Welcome to the webinar, Teamform Frameworx 17.5 for Sparx Systems Enterprise Architect. My name is Heinz-Jürgen Scherer from TransWare AG, and I welcome to you that webinar. The agenda for the webinar, after an introduction, we'd like to give you an overview with some slides how Teamform Frameworx is available and to be used in Sparx Systems Enterprise Architect. The main part of the webinar will be a live demonstration by my colleague Volker Rautenberg. Then we summarize up and end that webinar with a Q&A. Just some words about the company and presenters. The company offering you that webinar is TransWare AG. We are an independent software vendor. We are located in Germany and in US, Orlando. We are specialized in model transformations and test automation of business process models. We are a partner and a member of Teamform, and we are a partner of Sparx Systems from Australia. My name is Heinz-Jürgen Scherer. I'm the CEO of the company, and with me, Volker Rautenberg. He is responsible for the product management. To the subject of that webinar, first, we'd like to give you an overview about the context. Frameworx, as we know, it's an enterprise architecture framework. It's based on service-oriented concepts, and it's for the telecommunication industry. And it consists on 3 sub-frameworks, mainly eTOM, TAM, and the SID, Shared Information and Data Model. It's developed and it's under the intellectual property by the Teamform, and it's developed by its members. And the content is available from the Teamform webpage as XML or HTML download. But that type of content is not easily to be consumed and used by any BPM or enterprise architecture modeling tool. XML is a standard, but there are many derived standards, and so each tool has its own data format. TransWare, as a partner of Teamform, developed the translation of Frameworx into specific tools. The tool Sparx Systems Enterprise Architects, I will name it Enterprise Architect. It's one of the world-leading EA tools, and it's used by many companies, and mostly all the companies in the telco business. And we, as TransWare, we have created, designed, developed a native modeling language in Sparx Enterprise Architect using UML profiles and MDG technology to make Frameworx available. And starting with Frameworx 17.5, we made eTOM and TAM available, and we are working to have also SID in future available. Just some words about the Enterprise Architecture Framework. A framework is usually a model that is an abstraction or reality to create, interpret, analyze any architecture. And it's used for communication with stakeholders. And especially an enterprise architecture framework is used to describe the architecture of an enterprise organization in different viewpoints. Examples for those frameworks are Sachman, DODEV, TOGEV, or even Frameworx is a framework. Those frameworks consist on content. Those content that's best practice and templates to be modified, and a modeling language. And a modeling language you can think for is a graphical description, a notation, and examples are UML for software design, BPMN for business process modeling, or Archimate as the notation for TOGEV. As already said, Teamform develops the framework of the Enterprise Architecture Framework. And we, on TransWare side, developed the systematics within Sparx Enterprise Architect. Those UML profiles and the content. And this is delivered as a Sparx add-in, as you have Sparx add-in, for example, for TOGEV, for Archimate. So it can be loaded into Sparx as any other additional add-on. How that content is provided in Sparx. We have constructed the hierarchy of the Frameworx for eTOM and TAM. So you can see here the structure on different levels. In addition, we described the content by existing Sparx concepts. For example, we use BPMN to describe the business processes on implementation levels within the eTOM. And we have defined an owned notation, shapes in Sparx that are describing the Frameworx content. The modeling language is required to describe the content, and we have packages in areas. That is eTOM, TAM, but there are additional areas like mapping of data, business metrics, and others. For each area, there are sub-packages, so-called, in Sparx, and we have developed the diagram types with a notation for that. So here you can see, for example, for eTOM, for the business process framework level 2, there is a BPMN 2.0 business process model to be used. But the Sparx tool does not provide the original Frameworx diagram types. There, we have developed those diagram types based on UML profiles. You can see that we have added those diagram types with simple palettes, so you can drag and drop and create your own diagrams based on those shapes available. This is an example of those we have especially designed for Frameworx. Where it fits, we use standard as BPMN to describe business processes. This has the benefit that you can reuse your existing business process models, assign them to the higher levels of Frameworx, and reuse the higher level Frameworx objects in the lower levels. In addition, it's not only the graphical content, the diagrams that are available, also all the metadata is available. Metadata consists on the links between the objects and diagrams to allow you drill downs of the data properties, tagged values, especially that's the value having that content, and descriptions and documentations. In addition, relationship between all objects are available to allow you to navigate and explore how those objects are linked together. At that point, I like to stop the presentation, and I like to hand over to Volker for the live presentation.
Okay. Hi there, this is Volker from TransWare. Hans-Jürgen, a question to you. Can you see my screen?
Yes, it's available.
Very good. So I guess the audience is also able to see my presentation. So let's now bring Frameworx for Enterprise Architect to life. We have seen a couple of screenshots, and what I'm trying to do right now is to show you real life Frameworx in Enterprise Architect. So let me start here. I hope Enterprise Architect modeling tool is visible, Hans-Jürgen?
Yes, it is.
Okay, very good. So yeah, let's go ahead. You can see Enterprise Architect, it's version 14 that I'm currently using. And you can see that I've already loaded the TM from Frameworx 17.5 model. I want to point you to a fact that this product of ours comes as a real Enterprise Architect add-in. So if you move to the Specialize ribbon, you can see within the add-ins group that there is an item TM Forum 17.5. You can click. You see a drop-down and 3 menu items. The first one is simply opening what you can already see within the project browser, that is the model itself. The help will bring up a PDF documentation, a user guide, and about it's simply showing that you're using Frameworx within your Enterprise Architect. So there's version information, license, expiry date, etc. So That's it from the technical point of view. Frameworx for Enterprise Architect is a real Enterprise Architect add-in. As such, it comes with two pillars. The first pillar of this add-in is that it brings to you the Frameworx data and metadata. So basically speaking, this means there is an Enterprise Architect project file, an EAP file. And second, the add-in brings to you a Frameworx MDG technology for active modeling. That is, the MDG technology represents the Frameworx modeling language within Enterprise Architect. Okay, let's now have a brief look at the structure of the model of Frameworx 17.5 in EA. So this is about the project browser mainly. You see there's a main package, TM from Frameworx 17.5.0. And of course, we have the entry-level diagram or framework start here, very familiar to you. So I'm just bringing up this section here. So this should look very familiar to you. Next, you can see some packages here already shown behind Jürgen. eTOM, TOM, SID is a different thing. It's not included in this product, not at this stage. We have mapping, metrics, miscellaneous, touch points. So what is behind these packages? Let me explode this eTOM package, and you can see some sub-packages. There is a BP Framework Level 2, BPF Flow Level 4, Process Domain Level 2, and Process Hierarchy levels ranging from 3 to 7. We have Business Process Level 0, 1, Overview, and Level 1 as such. Behind these packages, there are diagrams of that specific type. So if I open this BP Framework Level 2 package, you will find, well, just a single, but one diagram of this type, of this original type, BP Frameworx Level 2. So let me bring this up as a demonstration. Okay, as you can see, and as Heinz-Jürgen has already mentioned in his slides, the original BP Frameworx Level 2 diagram type has been mapped by us to a business process diagram. You can recognize it easily also from the toolbox which has opened, which is standard plain BPMN 2.0. Okay, so that's an example for that original diagram type. I'll show you another one, which is BPF Flow Level 4. Again, this is a BPMN type diagram, and you can see a real BPMN flow in this diagram. Okay, let me close that one. And for instance, a brief glance to Process Domain Level 2 looks like this. So you have domain elements here, and you have business process elements there. Okay, so that's how it basically looks like. This continues for the different process hierarchy levels. For instance, this one. What you can see in the diagram representation actually Frameworx processes on different levels. We are currently here on level 4. That means that the upper shape here represents a level 3 object or element, and the lower ones here correspond to business process level 4 elements. Okay, I'm not going to delve into each and every diagram type. Let's have a brief look into this one here, a level 0 diagram. So very high level, you have different categories, strategy, infrastructure, product, for instance, operations, and you have different domains, the relationship. Okay, that's one of the level 0 diagrams. And finally, let me open a level 1 overview, which also should look very familiar to you. Okay, that takes a moment. I'll zoom out a little bit to give you an overview. So this is more or less the full view of this business process level 1 overview diagram. As you can see, this is a diagram type of its own. It's not BPMN 2.0, even though BPMN 2.0 business process elements are used, definitely. Okay, however, it doesn't suit into the BPMN 2.0 scheme, so we have decided to make a diagram type of its own for these diagrams. Okay, so that's more or less the introduction into eTOM. Let's have a brief look into TOM. The same concept applies here. You have the TOM package, and beneath TOM we have different packages representing different original Frameworx diagram types. For instance, application level 2. Again, let me show this one as an example. You have a domain at the top, and you have Frameworx application elements at the bottom, dependent on the domain. Okay, I'd like to close that one, and the other ones I've opened so far. Okay, in order not to have too many diagrams open. Okay, this is a level 2 application hierarchy diagram. Okay, so you see a difference. Here we have application elements at the top and lower level application elements at the bottom. Okay, fine. When we go deeper, or level 1, again, comparable to eTOM, we have an overview diagram which looks at 100% zoom in this way. I zoom out a little bit, and you have this bird's eye view of the full diagram. Okay, so I think that's sufficient to make you a little bit familiar with the TOM contents. As already mentioned by Hans-Jürgen, we have some other areas, mapping. That's not terribly interesting. There's just a single diagram which deals with eTOM SID mapping. Okay, just a few elements inside here. A little bit more interesting, definitely, is the metrics area. For instance, we have metrics represented in this fashion. So mainly we have simple Frameworx metric elements here in this diagram, or if I go a little bit deeper, I open this one. So it has a bit more of visual appeal, and again you see Frameworx metrics elements here. Okay, let me close that one, go up a little bit, and let me look at miscellaneous. So within miscellaneous we have some BPMN flows, real BPMN 2.0 diagrams. Okay, they look like this. We have a single customer lifecycle diagram. Okay, looks like that. So mainly it's about customer lifecycle issues, buying, be aware, interact, and organization channels like web, social, email, etc. So just a single diagram of this type. And just to demonstrate you that we are really feature complete. Another thing, touch points, which doesn't suit also to eTOM TOM. It establishes a category of its own. So for instance, a touch point hierarchy diagram looks like this. Okay, very good. So that's been a very brief overview over the structure of our product, Frameworx for Enterprise Architect. And I'd now like to turn your attention to element types and their tagged value types. In order to demonstrate this, I'll come back to an eTOM diagram, and let me pick the flow level 4. The first one, you see, it's actually a BPMN 2.0 diagram, and I'd like to simply select this element, verify product configuration. We have different windows in Enterprise Architect, so this is the element nodes window. Well, description not used for this element. More interesting in this respect now is the tagged value window in EA. You can see that we have really a rich set of metadata available, and definitely it corresponds to the original Frameworx data. That is, this element, verify product configuration, has exactly these tagged value types. For instance, we have an alternate name, verify product configuration, a brief description. It's a memo field in EA. Simply click it and you get the note information about that. Okay, we have things like candidate mandatory, Also here, text contents are quite important to learn to which category does this business process correspond. So we have this metadata kept here in category of a Frameworx process or a process, and you see the different categories originating from Frameworx. So it could be 0 eTOM up to a 7 eTOM process type. It could be undefined. It could be an ITIL candidate or an ITIL service operations type of this element. In addition, we have a lot of other metadata, creation date, a framework status, which is quite important regarding maturity. It's a released status, which is very good. We have a maturity level, which is specific for Frameworx processes. They are different for Frameworx applications. We have a process context, again, textual information here. And if I scroll down a little bit, you see these two items here, source GUID and source type category. These are read-only, and they point you exactly to the GUID, the globally unique identifier in the original Frameworx. What you can see here is the original Frameworx identifier. And here in source type category, you get the original source type and source category. In this case, it's a Frameworx process with a category for eTOM process type, just to let you keep track of the original values that we have translated for you. Okay, so that's one example element type. In this case, it's a business process. This changes a little bit. When I, for instance, select this, start event, you can see we only have 4 tagged value types: creation date, update date, source GUID, type, and category. Okay, so this is a first demonstration of element types and their tagged value types. Let me now go to a different one, just to make you aware. Okay, there are differences in the element types and the tagged value types. If I, for instance, select this Frameworx application, we again have source GUID, type, category, and this set of tagged values, an application identifier. We have, of course, again, the category. It's a 2-term application type, creation date, again, Frameworx status, functionality. We have quite, rich text here. Maturity level, which corresponds to Frameworx applications. Okay, and a number of other informations available. Okay, so with this, I wanted to demonstrate element types and tagged value types that have been specifically developed for Frameworx on Enterprise Architect. The next thing I'd like to show to you is a little bit of navigation. How is it done? So let me start here. All frameworks start here. Okay, we have actually 3 elements here. eTOM, SID, which is not supported in this version, and we have the TOM. So what if I like to navigate? Okay, as you know, Enterprise Architect supports just a single child diagram, that is a single hyperlink going from this element to a child diagram. However, in Frameworx, we have multiple hyperlinks. I'd like to briefly show you how we have dealt with this. So we can only have a single hyperlink here, but if you want to follow multiple hyperlinks, you simply have to go to the element nodes window and you see all the available hyperlinks. So simply move your mouse over, control, click, and the respective hyperlink is opened and you have multiple links at your fingertips. Okay, so I could drill down, but I think that's not very interesting for you. So let me come to another thing that's important, and that's about connectors, associations, or let's say more generically, it's about links, relationships in Enterprise Architect regarding Frameworx. So let me again open this BPM flow diagram. I again select this element, and I bring up the default dialog of this element. Okay, move it here. There is a section links. Okay, this allows you to follow all the links, be they connectors, be they associations, and have a look where they lead to. Okay, we have basically two different kinds of links. We have those links like a sequence flow, which is going from this start event to this process. So there is a real visual appearance, this tiny connector here, or there is a sequence flow going from this element to the gateway. These are visible links. But we also have invisible links, and we have really a tremendous amount of these invisible links or associations in Frameworx. And of course, we have kept them intact in Enterprise Architect. So it would be, I would say, impossible to remodel this manually. This has to be done automatically, and this is what we have done. For instance, look at these issue links here. There is no visual appearance of this in this diagram. So what could be done? First of all, no, not for this type. Let me show you also properties regarding the links. For a sequence flow, again, we have tag value types, and again, we have a creation, we have a category, creation date, the source GUID, type category, updated date. So you can exactly track the original Frameworx. You can also
Volker, maybe to finish the live presentation, it would be interesting how to create a new diagram based on existing concepts.
Yeah, time is progressing. I can see it. Yeah, let's do it. Active modeling. So we bring activity with Enterprise to Enterprise Architect. You can actively model the contents you like to model. For instance, let me briefly create a new package, my diagrams. Okay, I've got this new package here, and I'd like to create a new diagram. You can see there is this TMFFX, TM from Frameworx technology, and this technology supports a big number of different diagram types. Let me create, for instance, a business metrics. So this is a new diagram. You can drag and drop your elements, and you can also introduce variations by selecting different categories. So this currently is a measure, a Frameworx metric of category measure. I can make it a business metric or a level 0 metric. Okay, that's nice. So this points you to the MDG technology that is supporting active modeling. What about introducing a new BPMN diagram? You simply select BPM 2.0, which is the standard, select business process, okay, and you have a new model. So you could start using plain business processes, which would be the normal way of doing the modeling, introduce new elements. The real value add that you now have from Frameworx for Enterprise Architect is that you could, for instance, simply reuse existing business processes, drag and drop them to your diagram, and you get the full benefit. So all the metadata is now sitting behind this element. It's a Frameworx element rich regarding the metadata and its original Frameworx eTOM. This makes your life easier, and this brings active life to your Enterprise Architect. Okay, Hans-Jürgen, I think that's it for the live demonstration part.
Thank you, Volker. I will summarize at that point. Volker, can you see my screen?
Just a second. Yes, it's visible.
Okay, so the key takeaways from this webinar are that we provide that license to use Frameworx together with Sparx, starting with 17.5 and it's quality ensured on Sparx 13.5 and 14. In one of our next webinars, we will present it using the ProCloud server and the use cases with ProCloud server. And it can be downloaded from our web shop starting on September 1st. It's used as an active modeling content, so compared to the existing content that is more static, like an HTML page, it's nice to see and to share and to talk about. But here you have a real active content. You can tailor, modify, extend, reuse the existing objects and concepts. And we have gone with standards like BPMN. And we use all the nice core technologies provided by Sparx to create the own modeling language that reflects frameworks within Sparx. And it's an easy deployment using an MSI setup. And it's available on the current Sparx Enterprise Architect versions. And as said, in the next demonstration, we will show how it works on the ProCloud server. We gathered some questions as the time is running, only 3. And Volker, can we work with Frameworx in our central repository?
Yes, definitely. That's possible. We have two options here. You could either use Microsoft SQL Server, for instance, in order to bring Frameworx to MS SQL, or for instance, you could use a ProCloud from Sparx Systems. These are the 2 options to centralize a repository. I've picked up a question. I think that's quite important. We have covered eTOM TOM. What's about SID?
Yeah.
When will it be available?
Yeah, we are working on that. As SID is managed in a different tool, we have to merge the SID content with the existing Frameworx, TOM and eTOM, and we are currently working on that, and we are happy to have it available in the next 6 weeks. Next question to you. Is there any training available? As we have seen, Frameworx with Sparx, there are different or new diagram types and concepts.
Definitely. So this will be an offering made through our web shop. So it's not just the product you can order and receive via our web shop. We will also offer training sessions for you in order to introduce you to the MDG technology that is behind our add-in. And as you have seen, and as I try to make clear, there are quite a number of details behind, so it will be beneficial to have such training.
At that point, I'd like to thank you for the participation of that webinar, and we will share the recording, and you will have it available as a download for your computer. Thank you and have a good day.